Hey guys, you may know me as Ophius, but this is the Carnivore's Zone. This is one of the first videos of what I'm going to call Mapping 101. This one will focus on height maps and just a basic intro to Alt Editor 2 and how to load a map into Carnivores. So, you're going to want to start with an image editor. I use Paint.net just because it's free and accessible. If you have Photoshop or GIMP, good for you. That works too. But you're just going to have to figure out the individual settings and stuff for that. I assume you can if you have whatever program. But we're going to use Paint.net. We're going to do a 1024 by 1024 image. And I'm going to change it to like a mid-level gray just to showcase what we're talking about today. And we're going to paint on it with some black and with some white. And a basic rule of thumb that I just came up with a few seconds ago is that white is height and black doesn't have a fun rhyme to it, and it's just low. So white is going to be our mountain peaks, whatever else is high up, like that's pretty much it. Low is going to be stuff like our valleys. Not much else to say. Pretty much, and it doesn't have to be like white is a mountain. It just has to be like the lighter it is in comparison to its surroundings is going to be, it's going to look like a mountain or a hill or just really messed up, because you can also go a little too far with it and have things like a solid white on a solid black or a solid black on a solid white. And we'll get into that in a second, but for now, this height map actually pretty well illustrates what I'm trying to get at, even though it does not look like a playable map at all. Just for the sake of teaching what a height map is, we're going to use it. So we're going to save it as a BMP bitmap file. I'm just going to call it height map intro. You can call this file whatever you want. There's going to be some things later on that you're going to have to name a specific thing, but this is whatever. And then I will say my version of Paint.net is pre-configured to a 24-bit dithering level 7 saving for bitmap files. You're going to have to figure that out on whatever software you use. It's pretty easy to configure in Paint.net, but I do not know how to do it in other software, so that is going to be a job for you. But anyway, we're going to open up Alt Editor 2 and be greeted with this blank screen. This black screen here, this black tab here, all these letters and symbols up here that are very unintuitive. But we're not going to worry about them for now. We're going to deal with them as they come. So we're going to go to Resource, Load Map, and we're going to find that height map I made, or you made, whatever. I think we call it height map intro. And we're going to open it, and it's not going to be there. Why is that? This is probably the one bit of confusion that actually got me into mapping in the first place. I had to find like 3 online tutorials for what to do after this because I just didn't get it, because it is so unintuitive. But as you might be able to see right there, we have this set transparent view selected. I don't know why it starts you like this. It can be easy when you have set maps and stuff like that, but for beginning, it doesn't really make any sense. We're going to go to the next one over, to this grayscale one, set flat view, to see our height map. So, like I said, white is height, black is low, but we won't be able to tell because all we have is this height map here. This one, by the way, is the textured view, if it'll say. It won't. There we go. Flat view, transparent view. I don't really refer to them that. I might in the future. We'll see. But we're going to go to the transparent view or the textured view. Let's go to the textured view for now. And we're going to import our first map terrain texture. So I'm going to go to my Carnivores Map Textures folder, which I will link in the description. It is a compilation of all of the terrain textures from all of the original maps, including Nibel Engine Paradise from the mobile ports. But we're just going to go to Terrain Shocks and import this grass texture. And you'll see that it's not on the map yet. You're going to have to click it, press F or Control F, Control F, that is, and you're going to click it off visible field and onto whole map. You will almost never use visible field. A lot of the time you'll be using whole map. Sometimes you'll use selection. But for now, we're just going to be using whole map. None of this matters right now. 0 to 225 refers to the height map. We'll get into that later, but for now, we're safe to just keep it there. Rotation is whatever. You can insert values between 0 and 3 to get like a set rotation if you're making floors for a building or something, but for now we're just going to do random rotate because that's what is usually used for terrain textures. Minimal distance is not a thing we'll be concerned with right now. Density is not a thing we'll be concerned with now or hopefully ever. Discrete texturing is something I'll get into later, but we will just fill with whole map, 0 to 225, random rotate, and density of 1000 right now. And you'll see that it's just a slightly dark green. What is up with that? Well, we have the height map here. We have the textured view here, which is a lot closer to green to that, but why is it a dark green here? That will be solved in commands, render shadow map precise. So you're going to want to switch it off visible field and onto whole map again. You'll almost always want to do whole map when it comes to this. There's a few select situations where you'll use selection, but for now we're going to do whole map, and we're going to select morning, noon, and night. And it's going to render these, and there we go. You can see that our height map now casts shadows onto the terrain, hence the name shadow map. You can see our mountains here kind of casting a shadow to the southeast. Now is a good time to say that all light, in the editor at least, will come from the northwest, pointing southeast. So these shadows pointing to the southeast are coming from a light in the northwest. And then conversely, the valleys that we've made are casting shadows into their floor, coming from the same direction. That's just an easy way to tell. A lot of Earth maps from satellite imagery and stuff try to keep it on a northwest facing light or whatever. It's pretty much a general rule that, like in texturing in video games and stuff, that light comes from the northwest. But it's a nice, easy way to see kind of what your map is looking like. And it will be easier with more natural terrain, but for now, it's just a good demonstration of what height maps do. So, one more thing before we go in game. You're going to want to go to Commands, Create Approximated Textures, and select Whole Map. This used to, on my old machines and also on older versions of Carnivores, not matter. It would just look weird, but now it just crashes my game, so I would definitely recommend doing it anyway. But for now, that is a must-do for me, and it might be for you too, so we'll do that again. We're going to save project as. I'm just going to call it Area 1 in this folder. You can call it Area 1 through 8. This is one of the files that will have to name a specific thing. You're going to want to name it Area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, in accordance to where you want it to show up on the menu, but unfortunately you can't just call it something like Delphaeus Hills, Fort Siskin. It has to be Area 1, Area 2. That's just that. So I'm going to save it like that. We're going to go to our Carnivores game. Area 1 selected, and hopefully it loads. Thank you. Alright, so we're in game now, and you can see our mountain there. By the way, the spawn point, unless you select one, will always be in this little corner of the northwest, just to say. But you can see our mountain here, and then our valley here. Very primitive but effective ways to show what height maps do. A side note, you can see the fog that forms under level 32 in maps. If that doesn't make any sense, I'll explain it in a second. But this is pretty pre-packaged with any Carnivores map that you make. You can turn it off, but it will be there, and it's kind of cool. I like it. But real quick, we'll turn on debug mode and just kind of fly around and look at our height map. Right now, it's kind of in a situation where it's going to do this weird, we call it non-Euclidean warping. I don't think that's the right term for it. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, that'll happen in the engine with steep enough ridges like that. And then if we can find it, here is our very harsh, our very harsh white on black there. You don't want to do that. It looks kind of cool, but it's so stretched, and it does this on a lot of computers. It's just no fun. And we'll go over here, try to bounce off that, try to find our black on, it doesn't matter. Anyway, you can see our letters here. My cat is walking over my keyboard, if you'll excuse me for a second. And here's our mountain. Real quick. Oh, come on. All right, let's see. And here is our harsh black on white. So if that makes any sense, then great. If it doesn't, I'm sure you'll get it eventually. But yeah, we want to avoid that really harsh transition between dark and light to avoid these really steep ridges that kind of look cool, but also cause all of this malarkey, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to leave the game. And I think with that, that's going to conclude this first Mapping 101 tutorial. Hopefully you got enough out of it. I didn't mean to open Discord there. To kind of start your mapping journey. Feel free to fool around with the little options that there are. I say that as if there's not a lot. There's a lot of options. But, fool around, do what you can until you get to the next video. Until I get to the next video for the time being, because it is like 2 in the morning and I want to go to sleep. So, with that, I hope you guys learned something today, and I'll catch you next time.